I thought I had one more energy drink, and I don't. So I'm just doing a watered down Baja Blast. It's kind of the same thing.
They'll
So
get
I
you
mean,
there.
yeah.
it's no Celsius, but it'll do it.
No. Yeah.
Pretty sure those should be illegal.
Celsius.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. I imagine that's what cocaine is. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's hit it.
3, 2, 1.
Blessed with a championship prosperity the likes of which we have never seen. Cursed by a past riddled with despair. This is Blursed.
What up, everybody? This is Blursed back again on a Tuesday, February 28th.
It's the last day of February. Yeah.
Last
Is it
day
a
of the
leap year
Feb.
this year?
Is
that right?
That's next year. That's next year.
Oh
Sure,
man,
yeah.
I always
It's
get, like,
odd
confused.
year. It's on even years. It's every 4 years. So it
I
can never
forget.
be
Do
an
they
odd
add a
year.
day to February when
Yeah.
that happens? Okay, that's right.
We
okay.
get 29
Yeah.
days every
Man,
4
29.
years.
29 years through life, you think I would have learned this by now, but it's
Yeah.
one of those things I don't want to dedicate brain space to that. No storage is going to remembering what a leap year is. I'll
Nope.
figure it out that year, and I'll like read an article about it, and then I'll be like, okay, that's what that is, and that's why we do it. But until then, I'm
Especially
not going to
since
hold on
it's
to it.
just a way to explain an already man-made concept.
Right. Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
the worst part about leap years is people who are born on the 29th. Because I've met a couple people in my life who've been born on February 29th, and they
Mhm.
said they just pick the day every other year because it's the same day. 28th or the 30th is the same. I guess the not 30th, sorry, it's the
28 or
first.
29.
Yeah,
or-
yeah. Well, I guess you do
I
the
see. So on the
first.
other years.
But like that's the weird part. So like your birthday's February 29th, but you celebrate on March 1st some
Yeah.
years. Like
It's weird.
you have to wait till March. I don't know. It is weird.
Strange.
They're like, I'm technically only 10 years old. Like,
Man,
Anyway.
yeah. Who needs that? That
No.
would cause like issues, like with getting a license and all that shit too.
Yeah.
So.
oh yeah,
Nightmare.
just be annoying as hell. But yeah,
But yeah.
guys, we're back. We're back
That's
again.
Blake. This is
We're so
Hayden.
back.
Aaron's also here. Everybody's here. The three talking heads.
That's right.
Yeah, so sorry guys, last week. Really, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there was not much to talk about in Atlanta sports media. NBA All-Star Weekend was kind of I don't know. There wasn't Matt McClung won it, which was kind of cool, but he just got signed to an NBA roster like a couple days before the dunk contest. So they really need to revamp that.
Mhm.
But hey, since then though, all hell's broken loose in Atlanta sports world. So
Yeah.
we need to talk about
Man.
today. Really excited.
A lot
of
of
exciting
Hawks
shit.
takes.
Oh yeah.
Too
Two
many
buzzer beaters, by the way.
Yeah, back to back days.
Two of our teams won on the last play of the game. That's pretty
Mm.
cool.
And one of them being a soccer team, which like
Yeah.
that never happens.
Yeah, no, you don't get buzzer beat. There's no buzzer in soccer, but as close as a buzzer beater that you could have had. So I'm excited to talk about that.
And we also saw a strikeout
In the game.
Yeah.
to end the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Spring training has begun. So I guess if you're
Yes.
gonna get into my blurst of the week, let's just do it then.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Worst of the week.
All right. So the Braves' first spring training game this year ended with the bases loaded, strikeout via the pitch clock violation. And so everybody's still figuring this out. It was against the Red Sox on Saturday. And yeah, it's just kind of bizarre. The new rule is that the pitchers have 15 seconds in between pitches. I guess 20 seconds if there's runners on base. And yeah, the batter has to step into the batter's box and make some kind of signal that they're paying attention to the pitcher. And apparently our guy didn't make it obvious enough he was looking at the pitcher. He was in the batter's box, but he just got that third strike called on him and the game ended. Because of spring training, no extra innings or anything like that. So it's kind of a bizarre way to learn the rule.
Sure.
And so that I was making some headlines, and that's my blurst of the week because better for it to happen now than in the regular season. So
Yeah.
I
This
feel
is the
like-
most trainingest of spring trainings I feel like we've
Oh,
had in a
yeah.
long time. Need to get all those out today. Also, speaking of Got the notification on the way home. We had a big dub over Toronto today, 7-0.
Yeah, the team looked great today.
They did.
Max Fried's first start, and
we'll
be
it? I
getting
didn't
into
realize that.
we'll be getting into the other rule changes that are actually going to be pretty significant this year. It's probably the first time that MLB's really had a rule change like this in a long time.
Yeah, I would say this. I mean, the pitch count itself is a huge rule change. I watched that. I don't know if y'all saw it going around Twitter today. It was I don't know the name of the pitcher, but it was showing Altuve hit an infield home run, and it was
I think I sent you that on TikTok.
Yeah, you did. Maybe that's what TikTok you sent it to me on.
It was the Dodgers. Pedro Baez, I think. Hey, Hayden, wasn't that a
pitcher for the Dodgers?
For the Dodgers. Was it Pedro Baez or something?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I figured you would know. Anyway,
baseball pitcher.
It was
you're
Baez.
right. You are right.
Pedro Baez.
Pedro Baez.
All right. Between pitches, it took him, or Jose Altuve was able to run 7 straight inside the park home runs in between one pitch.
It showed a footage of him running like from a different game, and it just did it over and over again. And the funny part,
they kept playing it until Pedro Baez threw another pitch, and he was able to do it 7 times. It was over 2 minutes between pitches.
Oh boy!
And that's the thing is like this rule. I know some old heads are not happy about it, and I think some baseball, even like some of our friends that are our age, aren't really happy about it because it does change some of the core aspects of baseball. But I think it's needed. I think it's going to bring baseball into the 21st century, and I'm excited to talk about it in the Brave session. So I'm glad you put this as your Blursed of the week.
I'll save my takes for that segment.
Yeah, because I know you probably feel a little differently about this, which is funny.
It's more mixed, but yeah.
Blake, you want to do yours?
Yeah, so me as a zillennial though, I say zillennial because I'm like that in between. I need that instant gratification, Hayden. So I need the game to get going.
Yes.
But so my Blursed of the week is. I think I've said this. This
the world is dying, so I don't have time to wait between pitches.
Yeah, right. Yeah, come on. I think I've used this Blursed of the week probably once or twice already, but Atlanta sports media is back at it again. And I'm just going to say like 99 the game this time. Like I love 99 the game. It's been like what got me. I don't know. It's what I've always listened to in the car when I'm trying to listen. I don't even listen to music much. I typically listen to them. They have, I would say most of their shows for the most part have had really good radio announcers where like I agree with a lot of the things they say. They have good takes. They have good stories. They really do a good job of hitting the whole picture of Atlanta, but also the national sports world as well. I really enjoy Randy and Andy right now. Mike Bell and Carl Dukes have always been like all-time favorites, but man, they're stepping in it this week.
They are.
And like they had some takes with Julio that I know made some people upset who are really big Julio stands, but I kind of agreed with some of their Julio takes.
Julio Jones.
Cool, yeah, Julio Jones. But for Trae Young, man, they've stepped in all week, and I will wait to hop into all the stuff they say until we get the Hawk segment because it's a much longer conversation than just the Blursed of the week. But I'm just going to say 99 the game. And really, the latest part, which I will bring this up, the last thing that was said was Mike Bell telling Trae Young that he said, well, I do pay for 10 season tickets, so technically you do play for me. And Trae said, you pay to watch me. There's a difference in owner. Hashtag levels, which I just think like, dude, like, I think Mike wasn't even thinking when he tweeted that. Dude, they don't play for you. What are you talking about? You pay to watch.
He also, I think the worst look. So the first rule is when you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging.
Stop digging. Okay? Yeah.
All right. So and Mike has not realized that yet because even though Pat, our favorite Atlanta Hawks beat writer Pat Benson.
Yeah, for Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, he he tweeted it at Mike. In that same exchange, I can't remember exactly what he said.
I'll read it. Buddy got a flex plan and thinks he's on the board of governors.
Okay, and then Mike said something just so dumb back. He was like, "Buddy got a column and thinks he's a journalist."
Yeah, fanboy got a column and thinks he's a journalist.
He's the Atlanta sports beat writer for Sports Illustrated. That's the definition of a sports journalist. Some might even say more so than someone on a local
radio. Yeah, dude, I mean, growing up, Sports Illustrated was the ish. Like that's what every kid, like at least that's what I read growing up.
I collected Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, but the covers, yes.
Yeah, that I just thought. I mean, we don't have to spend too much time talking about Mike
because we'll dive into.
Mike is digging. He's digging that hole while he's standing in quicksand. Like he just can't sink fast enough, and he's like, Is it like he's trying to become who's the super dumb guy that used to be on with Stephen A. Smith?
Oh, Skip.
Oh, Skip.
Yeah, is he like
Bayless.
trying to become the Atlanta sports Skip Bayless, or
I
like
don't know.
what
I
does
don't
he
think
want
so.
out of this?
I don't think so. I think so. Here's
I
my
think it's
thing.
genuinely he
And Aaron,
thinks
you
that.
could agree with this. I think they're way better on their football talk and
Yeah.
than they are basketball. I actually think there's a lack of basketball knowledge as a whole from 99 the game. They just don't have many hoop heads, which makes sense because Atlanta's not a huge. It hasn't been a huge basketball town in the past. But we'll talk about why they started to die on this hill and why and what led to this in the Hawks segment.
All right, I'll go to my Blursed of the week. Mine also has to do with the segment I'm going to talk about later, which is Atlanta United. It's going to be, to me, truly Blursed here, which is that we won. And speaking of 99, the game, a lot of folks on there started talking about high aspirations after that win, especially since it came in such dramatic fashion. Don't get me wrong, it was an elated feeling seeing that second goal go in, and it's always nice to win your season opener. But we can't get ahead of ourselves, and I feel like that's what that is allowing a lot of us Atlanta fans to do, is get ahead of ourselves, which is the last thing we need, because there was a lot of things that went poorly, and that had we been playing a better team would have gotten exploited more so. So yeah, that's my Blursed of the week. That to me is truly Blursed, and that's what I'm going to be talking about later on too.
That reminds me too of like, I mean, for example, it reminds me of the Hawks, and I was talking about the Falcons. Like going into the Falcons season, I was less disappointed when we finished 7-10 because our expectations for the team were low. So like when your expectations you set for your team are not dialed in correctly, it can lead to you getting upset for no reason, really. You're uninformed, you're uneducated about what you're or just things that went wrong, kind of like the Hawks right now for us. Like we really thought we'd be at least a top 5 seed, top 6, and we can make it as a 6 by the end of the season, and we'll talk about how we'll get there. But it's all about expectations you set, and when people start to, especially when the radio is doing a disservice to the team on so many ways, like they just do disservices. So let's boycott the radio, guys.
Who we voting for here?
Three-way tie.
I like the three. Well, I kind of like the three-way tie too. These are all good. These are all really good.
That's fair.
I'm gonna say three-way tie. I mean, I think Hayden's the least Blursed because I like the new rules, but
yeah.
Hey, I didn't say if I liked him or not. You're just gonna have to listen to the Braves segment.
Hey, I gotta go do something real quick. I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. Which one are we going to first?
Oh, this is a Hawks episode. There's the remote right there.
No one would blame you.
All right, let's talk about the Hawks first. It's hottest in the streets right now.
Hawks.
All right. So, guys, this all started. But rewind a couple weeks. We're talking about the NBA All-Star Weekend. Trae Young's a snub. He's upset about it. Our own Atlanta sports media, instead of saying like he is snubbed, which like when someone's averaging 27 and 10, they're snubbed from the All-Star. Like let's just be honest. Like that's really freaking good. But instead of talking about that, they talked about all the reasons why he wasn't an All-Star, and they focused in a lot on his leadership, which I have a question for y'all about this. If you're a max contract guy, are you expected to now be a leader, not like just a leader on the court? Because like obviously you should lead through your production. Like that's what you're getting paid to do. Does that mean you should also be like the leader of like, what if it's not who you are as a person? Should you be the one who's like coming out saying certain things about a team? You know what I mean? I'm struggling.
Yeah, I think every group of people in a workplace and maybe in general need that. Yes. And I think a lot of times people think, okay, well, this guy's the superstar. He's the most forward-facing personality in the league, or I'm sorry, in the entire city.
In the team,
no, I think in the entire city of Atlanta.
Yeah, he's the biggest star.
He's the biggest star in the whole city, regardless of sport. And
Acuna is probably up there, but baseball's not as big as NBA.
But baseball's not as popular. Yeah, so
in the South, I don't know.
Yeah, but like we're talking about
nationwide.
In the nation, I think more people know Trae Young than Ronald Acuna. So, but yeah, even anyway. But yeah, to me, somebody's got to fill that role, or else you're going to be rudderless. They are the rudder for the boat, or the straw that stirs the drink. As who was that New York Yankee that said that? I can't recall. Ricky Johnson, I think. Anyway, so does Trae have to be that though? I don't think so. I think people want him to be that because he's getting the money. Like I said, he's the biggest face in the city, and if not in the city, certainly on that team, and one of the biggest faces in the league. So you're going to want that guy to do that role. But I feel like something we don't talk about is we kind of get that, or I think we get that from DJM.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think
we get that leadership from him.
Yeah, and I want to unbox that a little bit more. I just want to hear your take too, Hayden. Like,
yeah, I think the most talented guys on teams typically are thrust into that role or naturally find themselves in that position. But those guys don't have to necessarily go about leadership in the same way. Like, there's quiet guys and guys that are more in the media. A lot of the time, those are the hardworking guys that get there early and are always doing their workouts and stuff like that. Right. Or like maybe in Trey's case, his is like, I don't know, stepping up to the coach and like let him know what's what, and like, you know, who knows what his impact was on getting Nate out of town, but like, I don't know, he has the respect of his locker room, even if he's not outward the leader that people want him to be.
Right. No, and I think a perfect example of that too was after he hit the game winner yesterday. It shows all the team huddling over him, like all Josh and him, and like he tweeted afterwards, "I love my team," and all of them were talking about love. Like they obviously all respect each other. And like my thing is, I think so often, and what you are saying like agrees with me, is that we pigeonhole or box players into like they have to fit this certain narrative or this certain box in order to be X, Y, and Z. But I just think it's sometimes we put unfair expectations on players. And like, yes, I think we should expect a ton out of Trey because we pay him to do a lot, but he's averaging 27 points a game, 10 assists a game, 3 rebounds a game, a steal a game. Like he's doing his job on the court. Like he's holding up his end of the bargain. If we don't have Trey Young on this team, we're not even in the playoff hunt right now at all.
Right.
And so I get what they're trying to say, and sometimes you do want to see more leadership, and you'd like to see Trey grow up a little bit. But I mean, he's 24 years old. Like I wasn't super mature at 24. I was still trying to figure out stuff. Hell, I'm 26, and I'm still trying to figure out stuff. I'm only 2 years older than that, and I feel like I've learned more in the last 2 years than I did in the first maybe 24 years before, like, growing up. Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Like, you learn so much.
So one thing I wanted to jump in, sorry, Blake, is just to say in this timeline where you're at here, and I'm sure y'all remember when we were talking about it off the pod, I was more so on 929 the game side at this point.
Yeah, at this point, yes, you were.
Because I was getting frustrated with Trey, and not so much that I thought he had to be the leader, but one thing that rubbed me the wrong way specifically was when they asked him after he did get snubbed, and that was a snubbing, absolutely. Yes. After he got snubbed, a few days later, when they were trying to find reserves, someone asked Trey, I don't remember, but a local reporter after a practice asked him, "Have you been approached to be, by the league to like be a reserve?" Yeah, and he wouldn't answer it. He was like, "I'm just going to stay in my lane and not talk about that and just keep personal things to myself or something." And I'm like, that did rub me the wrong way, because it's like, what? First of all, you use the phrase "stay in your lane" completely wrong.
Yeah.
Trey, this is your lane, buddy. You are a professional basketball player, and he asked you a question about your job as a professional basketball player. That's your lane. Now, if he had asked you, "What are your thoughts on Donald Trump's presidency?" and you said, "I'm going to stay in my lane," that is the correct time to use that. Well, not that you have to stay in your lane, but that's when you use that phrase. So that rubbed me the wrong way, because I felt like that was not necessarily a shirking of leadership, but honestly simply just not doing your job.
Right. No, you can't let your frustrations of being snubbed affect the way you're treating others in these questions. And like also, like, you do have fans who are curious about these things. I think too, what I heard, I don't know how true this is, or read, that was that he actually did get selected as a reserve, but he turned it down. And I think that's pride. Part of me thinks that's a pride thing, and I do, and I think that I'll agree with that. Like, and I think that's fair criticism to be like, well, why Trey? And I think he should, and I think it's okay to be like, well, why won't you speak on this? And if he doesn't want to talk about it, like, I guess that's on him. We just never seen this from an athlete before.
Wait, so what's like an all-star reserve? Is that like a bench player or non-starter? Or
it's like
if somebody gets
somebody
hurt?
got hurt.
Exactly. If someone got hurt.
I won't blame him for that, though. Just like if you think of it personally, it's like, oh, I could have like
it's like
5 days off, or I could maybe play and like be on standby for this. Fuck that.
Yeah, and he feels like he's better than the people that got ahead of him. Like, I can see that, but like, just say.
I get it.
Maybe he didn't want to open up that can of worms. Maybe he didn't want to say all those things. He's like, you know what? It's going to cause more problems if I talk than it will.
I get that. However, I mean, I think our great friend of the pod, Anthony, he and I were talking about this, and he brought up a good point. He was like, "Look, that tells me because of the fact that later when Trey will have been retired, however long that is, hopefully a long time from now, they look at all-star appearances on your Hall of Fame resume, and Trey has the current career trajectory to be a Hall of Famer. So I feel like he's missing out a little bit there, and it also shows a lack of, I don't know. I'm not saying he doesn't care, but what Anthony brought up to me was like, from here on out, if that's true, and there's ever a borderline decision between who should be an all-star over one person and Trey, it should be the other person.
I don't I hate that in all sports that all-star appearances is looked at as a Hall of Fame caliber.
I agree. I think it should be all-pro and all-NBA.
Maybe we've talked about this before, but in the past, like all-star games actually used to mean something and like be competitive. Right. Now it's just a joke in every sport. What's the point? Like it's just like for entertainment value only. It's not competitive.
Baseball does it best, and it's still not great. Like that's how bad all-star I think things are at.
I mean, it's very caveman. It's just the best part of it is
the home run
hit
derby.
Hit ball, go far.
Hit
you know,
ball
exactly.
Hit ball far, go.
I know. And the best part about the NBA All-Star Weekend is the dunk contest. They don't even have any good. They don't have any players anyone wants to watch in the dunk contest.
Speaking of, and yes, technically I'm a LeBron hater on the court. We've talked about that a lot. That's got to be a black eye on his legacy too.
That is the one black eye.
The man's never doing a dunk contest.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
He's probably like, I do these in the game.
But to be fair though, like no like star NBA player. Who's the last star who did it? Blake Griffin?
Dwight Howard.
I would say Dwight Howard, yeah.
Yeah, that's 2006.
I'm not putting Blake Griffin on Dwight Howard.
When he that was like 14, 15 years ago.
You did.
Yeah, like that was Superman Dwight Howard. Right.
He's now playing in Korea, I think, or something.
God.
Yeah.
What a terrible.
Maybe Thailand.
He's Thailand, I think, or something.
Yeah.
A fight just broke out recently, or China. It's an Asian country he's playing in. But back to the Trae Young thing. My first thing on them was so the 19 on the game specifically. I've been hitting on him as a poor leader, and I just think Trae just leads in different ways. Kind of like you've said, Hayden, how he's like, maybe he's the one that's not afraid to say, you know what, coach, this isn't right. Like, I don't agree with this. And it's also, when you're leading your team in almost every statistical category that matters. Like that's leading your team. Like you're doing what you're being paid to do. And I 100% agree with what you said, Aaron. DJM got pulled in not only because we need a second ball handler, but because he has leadership. John Collins has stayed on this team and made it through all these trade rumors because he also helps lead this team. Like they have leaders. I think
that's a great point. And I think one thing that's been unfair to Trae, and I know they're doing it on purpose, the sports media, both locally and nationally, is that you have leadership sound bites from DJM and John Collins during the losing streak back, right before Nate got fired in the timeline we're currently talking about. The DJM, I think several times would say after in press conferences, after practice and after games, like, look, we've all got to do better. I've got to do better. Everybody on this team has to do better. Everybody in the organization, everything. He checked off all the boxes of the leadership type mantra shit that you want your players to hear or to be saying. And yet you didn't hear it from the guy that is named Trae Young. So they just ignored it.
I mean, maybe maybe he's the show it guy, not the say it guy.
Exactly. He kind of is.
Fine.
Though.
That's fine. Yeah.
He's good.
It's good to have both.
Trae's the entertainment value. Like he's the reason you go to the games. Like he's the villain. Like he's part of the fun of the whole NBA experience, and he does a great job of doing that.
Absolutely.
So, I'm right there with you guys. And that's another thing too. Is so then Nate gets fired. Let's fast forward a little bit. Nate gets fired. We've talked on this show heavily about how Nate's the biggest issue with the Hawks right now. And we're not saying he's the only issue, but he's been the biggest issue with the Hawks right now. Certainly. He's gone. We're 2-0 since he's been gone. We've done a lot more pick and roll offense. After timeouts, we've actually had dialed up plays. We win the game because of an after timeout play where Trae Young scores. You know what Nate did? Nate always had Trae Young inbound the ball after timeouts. And he said, your best player's got to be there. And Prutney afterwards, he was like, they were asked about it. Well, they say that, but he was asked about it. He goes, well, if we want the ball to go to Trae, then Trae needs to be on the court. So we can
that's weird because I always inbounded and I was awful.
Well, so
that was
and it's funny. Well, so the thing is,
lower stakes.
Yeah. But Nate's thought process there is way too old school.
It is very old school.
Has been his whole problem everywhere he's been. Too old school, not willing to change. And the old school mentality within that is it's an old mantra in basketball of defenses have a tendency to forget about the inbounder after they've inbounded. But that only works if your inbounder isn't your best player. Okay. They do forget about the inbounder, and because that goes back to what you two just said. It's never the best player. Yeah. So it's like a weird loopy logic to be like, oh, well, then I'll just put my best player as the inbounder and they'll forget about it.
It's also easier to do that too when your best player is, I don't know, like 6'8", 6'9" LeBron James, where he can easily get back open real quick and and separate himself or dunk alley-oop. Exactly. Like Trae Young's 6 foot or 6'1". And I think that's something else, and that's another conversation. But the expectations I could put on Trae compared to some other players, you gotta remember, like the things Trae Young does at 6'1" are incredible when the average height in the NBA is like 6'6", 6'7".
And they love to compare Trae to Luka. They always will, no matter what. Luka's got about 8 inches on him.
Yeah, and like 100 pounds on him. Like that's the.
But yes,
and I think so. Back to like the whole Trae Young. Fast forward a little bit. You see a different team come out against the Cavs on Friday night. We win by double digits. That we beat the number 1 defense in the team or in the league. We scored 81 at the half against the number 1 defense in the whole entire NBA. After the game, you see Donovan Mitchell talking to Trae Young, and at this point, there's been reports that we had offered Quinn Snyder the head coaching job, and it's now later come out that said that he told Trae, like, you're really gonna like this guy, like he's gonna help you a lot. Like Donovan Mitchell loved Quinn Snyder. When Quinn Snyder got fired or resigned from the Jazz, I think that's when Donovan Mitchell realized he was getting traded because that was his coach. Like, I mean, they were just very successful for 6 years in a row. And so that's why, like, one reason, I don't know, it makes me feel good that Donovan Mitchell's telling Trae that because he didn't have to say anything to him about him. He could have been like, oh, you're not going to like this guy. So then we fast forward to Nate. Well, Nate was fired. Trae Young missed the next day. Where media, they talk about it. John Collins answers. Clint Capella answer says, like, you know what? Sometimes what Nate said didn't hit with us. Like, it didn't resonate with us. And that's why you see some games we went out there and did really well, and some games we didn't do well at all. Like, obviously, the locker room was already lost. And then they were mad, too, that Trae missed the day after, but he had a family emergency is what he said. He came and answered the questions the next day. And then his answers to what they said, like, apparently weren't good enough either. Like, I don't know what they want Trae to say. They want Trae to have all the right answers all the time. Like,
right.
It's obviously a very complex situation, and he's not going to know all the right things to say. And that's the thing, too, is like, look at our own lives. None of us say all the right things all the time, especially when there's a lot of pressure on us. So
disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, disagree. I'm perfect. Disagree. Yeah, speak for yourself. But so we fast forward now, we had the Quinn Snyder hiring. Oh, real quick, before we actually talk about Quinn Snyder, because it's me, Trae's third coach in his 5 years in the league. I want to ask y'all this question. Is Trae Young a coach killer? This has been said a lot already.
I think that if I were to, asking me that question directly, no, I don't think he's a coach killer. What I will say, though, is I get why people would.
Yeah.
It's an easy narrative to find right now.
Oh, it's super easy.
It's an easy one to wrap your head around.
And I think for me,
it's an easy headline.
Yes,
it is. That's easy. The biggest thing. It's the easy headline. And Trae's already the villain. So, like, why not just make him the villain?
Why not just say he's a coach killer? Yeah.
I hate that moniker that's put on players like that because here's the thing. In the NBA, you have to build around superstars. If you get one, you hold on with both hands and you don't let go.
Very true.
If the team's not performing, I'm going to change the coach. I'm not going to change the superstar.
That was
like 9 times out of 10.
And as
because
the media,
you don't know the next time, especially in Atlanta. When is the next time we're going to get a superstar like Trae? It was Dominique Wilkins
it's
before
been 40
this.
years.
That's a good point.
Like, what else do you want? I'll change coaches every year if that's what it takes to hold on to him. He's the GM. I don't care.
That's why I don't understand, like, the radio too, or just media in general, defending Nate over Trae. It's like Nate's been a mid coach his entire career. So I saw this stat recently. Nate all right, here's my take on Trae Young. He's not a coach killer. Here's why. LP, Lloyd Pierce, his first coach, was brought in here only for the rebuilding phase of the Hawks. He was never intended to be the long year plan. Maybe they were hoping he would work out and trust the process because he came from the 76ers as they were rebuilding, retooling. And but here's the thing, like, as you've said, Aaron, many times, and we're going to talk about it too when we talk about Quinn Snyder, is coaching in the NBA doesn't matter until it does matter. And that's why LP was there, because it didn't matter then. Then they're like, you know what? We're not getting the success we want. We're going to fire LP. Nate McMillan, he's coached before. He can take over and at least finish the season. What killed us was Nate getting us to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think it was Nate. I really do think a lot of it was just like Trae Young's coming out party. That was Trae Young coming out. The whole team was clicking together. They played better under the leadership of Nate.
We had Kevin Huerter.
Yeah, we had better shooters at the time. So if you look at those two coaches, LP was never the long-term answer anyway. So that's one coach down. And Nate should never got the extension he got. So for me, I don't think Trae's a coach killer. Nate only ever got out of the first round of the playoffs twice in his 18-year career. Twice. And one of those was the Eastern Conference Finals run. So, like, let's put it in perspective a little bit.
Sure.
And now let's fast forward to hiring Snyder. So I know we talked to Anthony about this, good friend Anthony, who also, I'm trying to convince him to start writing for us. I mean, I think he could do it. We'll talk about it later, Hayden.
All right. Let's work for me.
But so we're talking about coaching candidates and who you'd want to hire right here. And whether you should wait till the offseason or not. I think if you weren't hiring Snyder, you should wait till the offseason, but we hired Snyder, so I'm glad we jumped on it when we did. But some of the other candidates out there were like the Kenny Atkinsons of the world. I called him Charles Buck, Charles Lee, Chuck Buck. And then you also had like Becky Hammond was someone that Anthony was telling us who she just won a WNBA championship with
her first year as head coach
for a WNBA team. She has been assistant to Greg Popovich for years now.
Yeah.
And so Anthony kind of wanted us to give like her spin, give it like a good interview. And I think some people's frustrations with this interview process, and I'll agree with this. There's flaws in the way we did this interview process, is that we called Snyder right after firing Nate, and they were like, this is our guy. We're going for it. And now I'll pump the brakes again to say, I'm glad we did go for it. I do think Snyder was the best candidate, and we got the best hire we could have gotten. But you would like to see a whole full vetted process of us hiring or interviewing a couple people just to see like if you heard something that you liked more than Quinn Snyder.
I'll actually disagree with you on that point, even though initially when we talked about it, I agreed.
Yeah.
And that's because everything you said, I would say absolutely yes to if it was the off season, if this was a regular coaching search that took place over the course of an off season. But the fact that they wanted to do something very soccer-y and something very not normal American sports, which is go ahead and bring in a new coach in the same season. That doesn't happen in American sports for the most part. And so
always interim.
Exactly. Yeah. Always interim and then
always internal too, basically.
And then as far as the interim, yeah, for sure. And so I think that given the fact that they wanted to try to salvage the season and get in a coach that they think can do that, I don't think you can have the full process. I think you don't have time. That's my guy. That's who I want to come do this. I need to get him in here as quickly as possible.
I agree. I'm 100% on the same page as you. My process where I'm upset with the front office and the ownership is, why didn't we do this a month ago? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
why didn't we do it a year ago? Why didn't we do it after we lost to the Heat?
Right. Why didn't we do it then? Yeah, I 100% agree with that then too. You already knew their problems. And also, like, all the reports of Nate McMillan asking out, our GM says that never happened, but you have Shams, who's like a reporter who most of the times is like pretty accurate all the time. So like he's saying it did happen several times. So did it happen or did it not?
Well, it's like, and also between the two, between Landry Fields and Shams, one of them has an incentive to lie and say that it didn't happen.
Right.
The other one has an incentive to not lie.
Yeah.
Because that's his whole fucking job.
Yeah.
All right. So
he will not get the reports he gets anymore if he's lying.
Exactly. So I'm believing that 100%. I 100% believe
that's the frustrating part.
Seems kind of soft, right?
Wait, what?
Which part?
If Nate was like asking repeatedly to step down, like
wait, soft from Nate?
Nate?
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, I don't know if soft is the right word. I see what you're saying, but I think that maybe
this might be his last go round, man. He was like ready. He's not going to get another head coaching job probably.
But maybe that was the whole thing because the thing is, if we remember back to when Lloyd Pierce got fired and Nate took over and we went on that run, Nate did not want to take over.
Yeah, Travis convinced.
Travis Schlenk asked him to. He said no. And then
Mhm.
Travis went back
Ah,
and like
okay.
and like made him be
God,
the
so many
interim
red
coach,
flags
basically.
about this though. We
Yeah,
should have like
yeah.
saw this coming.
I think Nate
100%.
Nate was at a
Wow.
point in his career where he was like, I'm just going to be an assistant head coach
Yeah.
until I retire and just go out of the league, which I think is admirable.
Oh, me too.
Because I think that means that he had at least enough self-awareness to realize, hey, you know what? I'm not changing with the times. So maybe I can impart some knowledge as an assistant coach and not the main guy.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, you went on this great run for us, man. You got to be the guy.
It was too. Yeah,
give you
that
this
run was
contract.
too good.
Yeah.
That's the most Blursed thing that happened to the Hawks. That run was like so.
Yeah.
It made us all like salivate.
Fool's
going,
gold.
It was
Mhm.
fool's gold. And so,
Yeah.
so to that point, I will say I agree with you 100%, Aaron. And I think we did the right thing going after Quinn as hard as we did. I just think there is. I think
Given
it's fair
the
to say
situation.
yes, given the situation. But I think it's fair to also criticize the Hawks front office and be like, guys, like why didn't you do
100%.
this earlier? Like,
Yeah.
why didn't we interview Quinn before the All-Star break so that way you had 10 days for
Right.
him to like get acclimated? Like,
I mean,
there's a lot of ways it could have been handled better.
literally as soon as we lost the game 4 to the Heat in last year's playoffs,
Yeah.
Nate should have been gone. And then you start the process then.
Mhm.
And maybe we're a top 3 seed in the East right now.
Yeah, you never know. And so I'm gonna break down the Snyder hiring real quick for those who don't know. I know I'm gonna refer to Anthony again because he did talk to us a little bit about this stuff. He's not as high on Snyder as we are. And one of his caveats was, well, he didn't do so well with the Jazz. Like in the sense of like expectations. He felt like the Jazz should have gone further than they did the years he went to the playoffs with them. I will say this. He went to the playoffs 6 times with the Jazz, 6 straight years. He made it out of the first round 3 of the 6. So 50% of the time he made it out of the first round. Also, in those 6 attempts, only 1 time was he the favored team, which like that's a big deal. Like you're only favored once. That was the year they were the 1 seed. They did make it out, but they lost to the Clippers in round 2. Also, in this conversation, I realized Mike Conley was hurt for the entire Clippers series. If Mike Conley's healthy, because that's the year Mike Conley was an all-star. If Mike Conley's healthy, maybe they beat the Clippers that year. Maybe they're the ones who played the Bucks in the 2021 championship, the year that we made our run too. Like,
yeah,
maybe that's their year. You don't know. And the problem with the injuries and stuff like that is hindsight's always 2020. You don't know what would have happened. But to that point, I think Quinn Snyder and the success he had with the Utah Jazz in his 8 years there and the 6 years straight he went to the playoffs, he got the number 1 seed, the 5th seed, 6th seed, I think, were the ones he got. And a loaded, let's also not like sugarcoat it.
Not in that order.
Not in that order, no.
Yeah. That'd be bad. That'd be kind of a red flag.
It would be bad. No, first was like one of the last things he did.
Yeah, it was one of the last ones. So that's good.
But let's say this too, like it was a loaded West. It's been a loaded West that entire time. And I sent to Anthony the teams that he lost to those years. You had the Golden State Dynasty, who he had to compete against every year, who've won 4 championships in the last 8 years.
6 years, I think.
6 years or whatever.
4 out of 6, I think.
You had the Lakers the year they won, so you had to beat another championship caliber team. Yeah. And then if you also want to compare those rosters to like even the Mavericks and stuff, like they weren't better teams. And I think the Hawks team that Snyder's joining right now are actually more talented than any of the Jazz teams he ever had. And I'd be willing to argue without that any day. I understand Rudy Gobert was on those teams, but you're not going to win an NBA championship with Rudy Gobert on your team. If he's your best player, you're not going to win an NBA championship.
This Hawks team is more talented than any Jazz team he had. I think you'd be crazy to not agree with that.
Yes, and so Brad Rowland, who we're big fans of, Locked on Hawks, he had Quinn was his number 1 target. He said, if you can go get Quinn Snyder right now, you go get Quinn Snyder right now. He would easily be a top, he said 8 to 10 coach in the league. He said, you can even argue. He said, I could hear people arguing up to be a top 3 because I'm not ready to put him there right now. But, and he said the same thing we've said on this show many times. NBA coaches don't matter until they do. And he said, Quinn Snyder is one of those that do because he considers him to be one of the best coaches in the league.
And there's, so you just backed up that with a lot of his records in Utah and stuff. Mm-hmm. But also there's another thing we need to touch on too. I believe that there is one single standalone person that you can call the best coach in the NBA right now. His name's Mike Budenholzer, former Atlanta head coach, and one of the most impressive resumes of all time in the NBA as a coach. And guess what? Quinn Snyder is the most successful protege. Thank you. Yeah. Most successful protege from his time here in Atlanta. He was his right-hand man during our franchise's most successful period in history.
Yeah.
Mike and Quinn did that together. And then some of the other folks like Darvin Ham and Kenny Atkinson when they went to do, when they went there and got their own head coaching jobs, didn't succeed as well.
Kenny Atkinson got the whole superstar thing happen to him with Kyrie.
He got that weird thing with the Nets. Yeah.
Nets. They kind of did him dirty, I felt
but,
like.
Yes. But Quinn, by far the most successful protege of Bud. And I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah. Well, Quinn, the cool part too about it is he comes from he also was under Popovich too. So like he comes from Popovich and then Bud. So like I agree with you 100%. I don't know if Bud's the best coach. I think Steve Kerr might be the best coach in the NBA.
Stop that.
We could argue about this another day, but Bud is definitely in the top 3. And that's the thing about Quinn is that he's coached under a lot of great coaches, and he's also had his own success, his own proven success.
Right.
So during his tutelage with the Jazz, he led the league in defense, like their team did, with the points per game allowed. And if we would have waited till the summer, we might have lost him to another team that paid him more. We offered him 5-year, $8.5 million contract. One of those years are counted as this year. I think he would have been the number 1 target during the offseason. So I think it's good we got him now. We're going to do less isolation basketball under him. We'll have much more pick and rolls. We'll be much better. Yeah. That's the biggest. I mean, if you
we are a team designed to do the pick and roll.
That's what we were great at before Nate took over with Lloyd Pierce.
But even when Nate went in that run to the Eastern Conference,
he didn't change the offense during
he didn't change it. And so I mean, if you have Clint Capella and John Collins and Trae Young, you should run the pick and roll until they stop you.
Yeah, and now you have DJM too. You have 2 guys who can run the pick and roll, like at an elite level.
Yeah.
Something else too is this year we've shot the most mid-range jumpers of any team. Those are the worst shots you can take. If you're not shooting it in the paint or shooting a 3, you really shouldn't be taking the shot because it's worth less points and it's a lower percentage than scoring in the paint. It doesn't make sense.
You know what's worth the same amount of points and is almost 100%?
A dunk.
A dunk.
A pick and roll dunk.
And guess what happens a lot on exactly.
Yes.
The pick and roll results in a lot of dunk opportunities.
Dude, and that's the thing. Prunty's first game, we shot 34 threes, and he's like, I'd like to see that number a little higher. Hell yes, we'd like to see that number higher. It hasn't been that high all season. It's one of the reasons we're not doing well. That's my thing too.
Atlanta Sports Radio.
It does, doesn't it?
Dude, and that's the thing that kills me about the Atlanta Sports Radio is y'all watch the games before you talk.
Yeah.
Do you watch the games before you blame Trae Young for all of our losses? Like, do you know how bad this team would be without Trae Young? We'd be in the Stone Age without Trae Young.
Right.
We'd be worse than the Wizards. I
think one thing we need to consider with 92.9 The Game is that they are in a dying medium, being radio. Okay.
You're wrong.
And the people that run that dying. So who doesn't go into dying mediums? People our age, right?
Yep.
All right. So that whole radio station is filled to the brim with boomers. Okay. Boomers don't like the current generation of the NBA. Boomers wish that the NBA was back in the day when it had an unspoken coke problem and a bunch of and this type of player that doesn't exist anymore that looks like a middle-aged suburban father. Okay,
white dad,
yeah, like Kurt Rambis, for instance, the glasses, the big mustache, tall white dude that doesn't exist anymore. They want that NBA back, and so they don't like this one, and they don't know how to assess it or analyze it, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you're a JJ Redick fan, he actually has been pushing back a lot on like Around the Horn with who's that guy y'all mentioned earlier? Stephen A. Smith. Like he gets on there a lot, and JJ Redick sticks up for the new wave of basketball. And he goes, here's the thing, like, yes, you can like the old eras of basketball, but when you try to compare them, he goes, NBA players are just better now. And they should be better. They should be better now. He said, you've learned. You've had years to learn. We're more athletic. We do better with our weight training. Like he said, if you compare like the stars back then, can compare the stars now. The thing is, the difference between let's say the number 20 player and the number 80 player in the NBA now is much smaller than it used to be in the NBA back then. Like your top 20 players were way better than everybody else. Now John Collins probably considered a top 100 player, and he'd be dominating back then. Like that's the thing is the NBA has just gotten so much better.
I truly believe if you put, let's not even say John Collins, Clint Capella. If Wilt Chamberlain never existed and Clint Capella played in that same era, and he's the same person now, and put him in that era, he is Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, he could have been very easily. Yeah,
I guarantee you. And I'm just using Clint as an example. Pick any big man right now. You want to talk about, okay, imagine if Jokic played in the fucking
yeah.
60s.
Just, let's start actually talk about like the top players, Giannis,
Yeah.
LeBron. Like, if LeBron played when Michael Jordan played, there wouldn't be a debate on who's the GOAT because it would have been like, oh, they're probably equal. Like they're both so great at what they do.
And it's like to the LeBron thing too. I'll go a step further and say, you know how Wilt had the 100-point game, and that's like the benchmark of like the most impressive feat, you know, in maybe in all sports. I guarantee you, if LeBron played back then, we'd be talking about, man, you remember that 200-point game that LeBron had? You know, I mean, seriously.
Well, also, it would all be layups and dunks.
And yes, too, though,
that's it. And it wouldn't need to be anything else. It's just blowing past everybody.
So I was reading about NBA coaches because I was really curious about like, because we've talked about so much, do NBA coaches matter? And I went and looked at the top 25 coaches of all time. Hell, Bud's considered a top 25 coach of all time. That just shows you. You're right, but that just shows you like.
Well, I'm gonna talk. Yeah, like
coaching levels. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because the NBA's been around for a while. And I was reading about Bill Russell, who he coached the Celtics while he was playing for 2 years.
Yeah, he was a player coach.
He won 2 championships as well. But what happened was when they hired their new coach and they went on to win 12 championships total. They said that people like Wilt Chamberlain were going scoring 100 points a game, but they couldn't win a championship because they didn't know how to play as a team. But this Boston Celtics team who had a good coach knew how to play as a team. And they won championships. So it shows you too, like they didn't even play the game the right way back then either.
Right,
like they weren't playing. Not that they weren't playing to win, but in a way they weren't playing team basketball. Like they weren't playing to win. So yeah, I just want to say this about Coach hiring Quinn Snyder. I think it's a great thing that we did it right now. I think the cool part about him getting hired now is that whether we go on a run or not, it's good to have him here to start, one, laying down his foundation, two, for him to start seeing what players do I want to keep around next year and what players got to go. Because he's not going to be the president of operations, but they did say he will have some say on the roster, as he should. He's earned that as a coach. Like, he is one of those coaches I think have earned a say of the roster. I don't want him making every decision, but I would like for him to at least have a say on what's like, who's coming in and who's leaving. So I think this is going to be a great time. And who knows, maybe we do make a run again. We talked about it.
I think it's clear that they're trying to do that, not because so much exemplified by the fact that they brought him in so soon, but I think more so by the fact that he's keeping the entire staff. Joe Prunty is remaining in the assistant head coach role. Everybody else is staying. He's not clearing house right now, which is smart.
It's smart.
You don't want to bring in a whole new staff midseason. So it's going to be an interesting blend of Quinn Snyder trying to implement what he wants to do while also not trying to change the whole fucking world and have the coaching staff that's currently there still.
And he said that in his press conference today. He said too, he goes, I got to learn. He goes, I have to learn on what they're doing now, because he goes, I can't put too much on them and expect them to learn it all and for us to continue to go on this run. He goes, we're going to have to slowly change some things as we go. But he said, this is going to be a learning process, me learning them learning me, in order for us to make a run. And also too, like, let's talk about the Nets traded away Kevin Durant. That's a team that we just beat yesterday on a really good Trey hit the floater at the end. That's a solid Nets team. They have 12, 13 deep players rotation wise, but they have no superstar. And Trey Young yesterday showed why you need a superstar on your team. He ended the game. And I think the Nets are catchable. I think the Heat are catchable. They're both in front of us in the standings right now. We're only one game back from the Heat, from 7th. We're just trying to get to that 6th seed, because if we get the 6th seed, it's a little bit easier going into playoffs. We showed we can beat the Cavs on Friday.
You get a break. You don't have to play immediately.
Yes, and you don't have to play the Celtics or the Bucks. And let's be honest, the Celtics or the Bucks are way above the rest of the teams in the East right now when it comes to how good they are. And I know we talked about in the beginning of the year how typically if you're not a 1-2 or sometimes a 3 seed, you're not going to win a championship. We may be wrong about that this year. I've been listening to some other NBA pundits talk about how like the West right now, besides the Nuggets, are so like dead even between like 2 and 10, like how close they are with like only a couple games between each team, that some of these lower seeds might make a run late in the season and actually might make a push to like win the NBA finals, because the teams in the 1 through 4 right now aren't as top heavy as they've used to be. I'd say you've seen the most parity in the NBA that you've seen in a long time this year, which is kind of cool, kind of interesting. But yeah, so look for the Hawks to maybe make a run here. I'm not saying they're going to go on and win the finals at all. I just think you could now see a legitimate, you could see us pushing for the 6th seed legitimately, and you might be able to see us maybe squeak a win out. But either way, we got our guy of the future, 5-year deal. Quinn's here. I think this also guarantees that we keep Trey, because when you bring in a good coach and you spend out, like we spent $8.5 million on him. That's a lot of money per year for an NBA coach. That shows Trey that you're invested and you want to win. So
yeah,
that's all I have to say about the Hawks right now.
Sweet. Hayden, you got anything to add?
Nope.
All right, where are we moving next? We're gonna
Just
touch
biding
on
my time.
Yes. Well, is that where we want to go?
Let's go to Braves.
Braves.
I was
I miss
hoping you would
hearing you
say
talk.
that. Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like I was. Yeah, I try to take a back seat, let you guys do your thing.
Uh-oh.
All right, so what?
Uh-oh, Hayden.
What's wrong?
You're not lagging. You
Well,
were
you're,
lagging
you're
for a
good
second.
now. Until you said what, you were all laggy and glitchy. But now you're good.
You're back.
Man,
You're
right
good.
when
Yeah,
I
you're
start
so back.
talking. Okay. All right, that's good to know. Anyways,
Yes.
as
This is
we
our podcast
alluded
now.
to in
Yeah.
Blursed of the Week, we have the new rules. Before we get into that, I was just going to say Matt Olson's off to a really hot start in spring training. He had a couple of hits, one of them a home run in the first game, and the other hit was a single that he hit through the second base, first base hole, which you have not seen much of the last few years, or
There was no shift?
10 years. There's no
Yeah.
shift. That is also one of the changes. So let's walk
actually-
through what some of these changes are.
I'm fucking stoked about that one.
Me too.
I'm just gonna read off
And
the
all
rules.
of them.
So I talked a little bit about the pitch timer. There's 15 seconds with the bases empty, 20 seconds with runners on, so that allows the pitcher a chance to like hold the runner on or a pickoff move. The hitter gets one timeout per plate appearance, and they have to be in the batter's box and acknowledging the pitcher with at least 8 seconds left. If not, it's an automatic strike.
So Hayden, can we expound on the acknowledging the pitcher thing? Do you have much?
Apparently
to
that's
expound
like
on
that's like the obscure part of the rule.
You point the
It
bat
feel-
at them, or
Is it
I
subjective?
don't know. That's
Or did
yes.
they-
That's
okay.
the problem.
Okay.
So like maybe they're gonna work out the kinks here, and like I don't know, maybe you need to like
I was gonna say that'd be
Tip-
pretty cool.
tip your
if-
cap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
every
exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, pretty sick. actually.
Apparently, the issue with the Braves player Cal Conley that ended the game is he was looking back at the catcher who was standing up instead of looking at the pitcher.
right? So the catcher's allowed to be
At 8
standing
seconds.
up.
Yeah. So
but-
why can the catcher be standing up?
I don't
If-
know.
I mean, I get technically the catcher doesn't have to be
He had
in
time
a crouched
still.
position.
The funny
when
part
the
was he
ball's
started
thrown,
taking
but-
base like he got walked. He's like, "Oh, I got walked," and then they're
Right.
like, "No, you're struck out."
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty wild. Yeah.
there's some learning there. The pitcher can have 2 disengagements, which means they can have 2 pickoff attempts, or they can step off the back of
batter?
the rubber. Yes, per batter. If they have too many disengagements, then it's a balk. Which, if no one's on base, then that would be a ball. If people are on base, they move forward. And then so
Which
that'll
is
limit.
an insane jump, by the way, in
Yes.
like punishments there. It's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, no one's on base.
Oh,
Okay,
you're-
it's just one ball.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody was on first. They're on second now.
And it's a ball.
good. They're in scoring position.
Is it a ball
It's-
too, or no?
It's crazy. Do what?
Is it a
say?
ball as well on top of that, or no?
No, I don't think
All
so.
No, I think they
So
just
it's just
advanced the
a
runner.
ball or a
Yeah.
base. Okay.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
So I'm actually a big fan of the pitch timer.
Yes.
They've tested this out in the minor leagues the past couple seasons, and it reduces the time of the game by like 25 or 30 minutes. So it takes the games to
Significant.
2.5 hours from 3 hours, which I don't know. The thing that they're taking out is players walking around the mound that are like just taking their sweet ass time, or batters that are like just calling timeout during at bats to fuck up the
Oh, over
pitcher's
and over again.
timing. Which I get that's gamesmanship as well, but also it's so unnecessary. It changes
So
the
unnecessary.
routines of the players. And so, I mean, even like when I'm playing MLB The Show on PlayStation, it's like I'm skipping all that shit. Like I play on like a
Yes.
fast mode so I can just
Yeah.
go pitch.
Yeah,
pitch,
quick
pitch.
play or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just-
exactly. And
I
so,
had my coworker today who said, and this is an older head talking. He was like, I don't really like that change. I said, well, why? He goes, I like the leisureness of baseball and golf, where you don't have to always be watching. You can just look up every now and then, and you hear something. I was like, well, I mean, you can still kind of do that. It's just going to go a little
Yeah.
bit quicker. Like I
Also,
did
how old is this person you said?
50.
50? Oh, that makes sense. They're at the point in their life where they can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's got the
Alright.
time?
Yeah.
Who's got the time for that?
I'll be
has
honest,
that
because
time?
I do understand what he's talking about though, because like there's like it's not golf. Golf is like a tortoise pace. We're like
Yes.
ramping up between tortoise and the rabbit on the lawnmower. We're probably like a quarter of the way. That's baseball, and then you ramp up all the way at the top soccer because it's nonstop. Even like the
Yes.
clock keeps running when
Right,
like
literally
play
keeps going.
stops.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, I get it because like there's like something people are romantic about baseball and like it has to be how it was when I was a kid.
Right.
And I think the thing it might take away from is like it limits your time at the ballpark.
Yeah.
Like, when you actually go to a game, and so like they're hopefully like they don't reduce time between innings or anything like that, so like people can get refreshments and like they're not gonna miss like an entire inning to get a drink or something crazy like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. So don't forget. I mean, maybe they'll push back the last call on beer at the stadium. I don't know. Usually it's the 7th inning stretch. So keep that in mind.
Keep
when
that in
you're
mind.
at the game this year. All right, second.
Oh, the 7th inning's already
change.
over? What the?
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, I know. You're like, needed to get me another bud.
Yeah. Pay
all right.
$30 for this Modelo.
The second big change is shift restrictions. So 2 infielders must be positioned on either side of second base when the pitch is released. All 4 infielders must have both feet within the infield as the pitcher is on the rubber.
So the third baseman could go over to the shift. Technically, you would never want to do that.
Well, you said 2 infielders on either side of second base,
Yes.
right?
Oh, 2 on either
2
side.
infielders,
I was thinking one.
I thought that
see.
initially too.
I see
Blake.
you're saying. I see you're saying.
But yeah, 2 on either side. So you got to have all.
You have to. Yeah.
You got to have all 4 in normal spots.
And
Now,
so,
granted, can you still move them a little bit?
Yes.
I know it'd be marginal compared to how it would have been.
they're not
Or
like
how-
contained.
how it
They're not like
was.
contained like where the natural
long as they're
position
on the-
is.
Right, but they
As
have to
long
be on
as they're
their
meeting that
side of
guideline.
second base. Okay.
So the thing that started happening probably 15 years ago in Major League Baseball is that especially lefties with second base being so close to first base or the second base position, they started moving them into the outfield, and that was the first change that happened. Especially like power hitting lefties, and so that ended like any ground ball singles that they would get through that hole between the second baseman and the first baseman.
Right.
While right-handers didn't really have to deal with that as much through the shortstop and third base hole. So that's when the change started happening with launch angle, because lefties were like, "Oh, we can't hit singles anymore.
We got to hit home runs.
Bucket, we're just going to aim over all of them." And so
Yeah.
that's why you see a lot of the time players like Matt Olson is going to benefit. Joey Gallo's another one. These big power lefties that may not have like a career high average.
May hit for higher
This-
average.
This year, they're probably going to change their approach. They're going to
Which
be
is
able
awesome.
to, get away with some singles. And like, people say like that hurts players like Freddie Freeman, who has had a sustained career of being able to hit the ball each way. But I mean, they still shifted him the same way. And
Yeah.
Right,
They'll
right.
still
know.
help him. It
Yeah.
shouldn't hurt any lefty.
And I think one thing that, and I know Hayden hit the nail on the head with a lot of a significant portion of baseball fans, which is they romanticize it. They're nostalgic about baseball. However, it was a dying sport. We don't know how these changes are going to affect it. I think they're all good. And it's because this one specifically is because of what we've been screaming about baseball ever since the steroid era, which is it's got to be more exciting. What's more exciting? More runs. What leads to more runs? More people on base. And so those people are going to get on base more. They're going to drive in more runs. Games are going to be cooler.
And I'll even add on to that a very exciting aspect of baseball, especially to someone that's watched so much of it and like can see like the intricacies of the technique of fielding, making like really fun defensive plays and like plays where players actually have to dive and like make a crazy throw to first base.
Yeah.
It's a
And
great
like
point.
that's something you haven't seen as much because there's so much information on these batters, and like based on the pitch and all the information they have, they know almost exactly where to stand depending on the situation. And so that's why you see balls hit right up the middle that like used to be historically that was a hit every time if you hit it right back up the middle. It was no longer the case. And so maybe they'll modify the rule too. I kind of thought they were going to do the pizza slice around second base to like make it so you couldn't have guy right up the middle. So technically shortstop could be almost right behind the bag still,
Right.
or second base. And if that's the case, then like maybe they'll move third baseman over to.
But you won't be able to have
shortstop
3
hole.
on each side, though.
Yes, yeah. So it won't be as exaggerated. We'll see like how teams approach it this year. Maybe they'll start bringing an outfielder down. So like
That'd
I
be
don't know.
wild.
So
I'd
they'll-
love to see somebody bloop one over that and hit a triple or some shit.
Yeah,
Man,
that's what would
That be
happen.
sick.
Well,
yeah.
so basically, like with the lefty, they would have the 2 infielders, and then they would bring the
A
right
shallow
fielder.
right
They would bring
field.
the right fielder down, center fielder
Center
slot
field
over to right
over.
field, and then there would be no one in left field.
Right.
Left
So
field
you,
was-
if somebody accidentally bloops one to left, that would
oh
be
yeah,
fucking
you'd be
sick.
running for days.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I kind of think that's exciting, and if they start doing that, maybe they'll curtail the rule even more. But
Right.
all right, last rule, and this kind of goes hand in hand with something that's more exciting is bigger bases, just slightly. So they went from 15 square inches to 18 square inches. So it's a subtle change. They say a lot of it is due to reducing injuries between players at the point of contact at the bags, which I don't really, I don't know if that's the case or not. But
you said subtle change. I think 3 inches is a lot. I
Yeah.
think 3 inches is a ton. Just from my experience,
I mean,
think
I
3
guess in
inches
the
is
sport-
huge. Yeah, I think it's a huge difference. Okay.
it depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about how you use those 3
Yeah,
inches.
that's right. How? Yeah. Tell
Yeah.
us that, Hayden. How are they
Well,
using?
I would love to see.
He said
Ronald
square inches,
Acuna-
right?
Yeah, square inches.
So it has to only probably be like a quarter of an inch, three-fourths of an inch on each side of the bag, probably to get that total. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah,
like
I do,
3
yeah.
inches each way out.
So what you're going to be able to see though is like, and this is one reason people are saying that AA made a good move bringing in Sean Murphy is because he's a better defensive catcher, better arm, better pop time. All this stuff is incremental, but it makes a difference. And so since the runner's going to have a shorter distance to cover, it's going to be harder to pick them off because of the amount of attempts that you're allowed. So they're going to have bigger leads.
Yeah.
They're going to steal more, and the distance is shorter for the runner. It's a little bit shorter for the catcher as well. But you want to be able to like work in between those guidelines, right? So you want to have a better defensive catcher, and you are going to want to steal more.
I was reading too that you're going to see a lot more catcher pickoffs, right? Like where Sean will be throwing it down the first
Does that
base line.
count?
He's
So
been
that
practicing
doesn't-
that.
So since the pitcher's throwing to home, that doesn't count as a pitch out, right?
Right.
Yeah, it wouldn't count against their
Throws to first.
disengagements.
Yeah.
So it would probably count against their pitch clock, I guess. So
Okay.
like I don't know if the pitch clock starts immediately when the catcher catches the ball. Probably they just reset it. So they have 20 seconds. Say if they have a guy on first base, so catch
It probably
the ball,
restarts once he gets the ball
toss
back
it over.
again.
Yeah, I don't
If
know.
the pitcher gets the ball back. to
Yeah,
him,
that's what I would
would that not
think.
be one?
I blame Bally for this because they make it really hard to watch spring training games.
Great.
But
Which
they're going
shout
under
out,
anyways.
shout out Apple TV. I don't know if did y'all watch? I know we're not talking soccer yet, but speaking of Bally, did y'all watch the Atlanta United game?
I listen
live?
to the radio.
Okay, so Apple TV inaugural experience. They had every single game on the same day. For some reason, MLS didn't split them up. They were all Saturday, and guess what? The streaming quality was fucking perfect. No, like, and so you're used to big companies screwing up launches, with things like they didn't do that. So Bally,
Nice.
Come on,
I mean,
Bally.
yeah, and Apple has tested the waters with MLB too. They had the Friday night games last year, which like, their quality was so much better than anything else you
good.
could watch. So here's the hoping that Apple buys Bally or something like
Oh,
that.
that'd be
and they'll just
crazy.
have, like all the baseball. So
yes.
The Braves could be the official baseball team of Apple.
Hey, there you go.
So stupid.
It'd be weird, but
It would be weird.
anyways, yeah. So the bases are the last big rule change, and I think all these changes are good. I'm a fan of all of them. They change the game. They make it faster pace, which is a common complaint, and people lose interest. There's going to be more movement on the base pass. There's hopefully going to be more runs scored, and like keep interest.
Hayden, over under. If I put the over under at 2 for Braves with more than 25 steals this year, do you go over or under?
Over, yeah.
Hell
I
yeah.
think three players will, right?
Let's see. I mean, I think Acuna. He's staring down the pipe. I mean, staring down the barrel at a 40-40 season. That's something he's strived for before.
Yeah.
He can definitely do that. And everybody's saying he's locked in.
Money
and that's
Mike.
something to look for. Yeah, Mike is definitely fast enough.
Ozzy Albies.
Ozzy is another one that could have 25. I would say focus on those three.
I would say over 2. I would say 3 as well, probably. Yeah, I saw we had 2 players like they're trying to project steal leaders, and I saw that we had 2 on the list, and it was Acuna and Money Mike, and Money Mike was like, "What about Albies? Like, why is he not on there?" I feel like people forgot about him. He's not even on the top 10 second baseman for this year on any
which
list.
is weird. Yeah.
He was a silver slugger at second base 2 years ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
he was injured for one season. Everybody forgets about him, but I'm fine with that. I mean, the team is so deep, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody makes it out of spring training healthy, and we get to see some good baseball. But one other name to mention is Dylan Dodd. People are throwing his name around as maybe the Spencer Strider of this season. I mean,
no,
even if it's not to that
hard
level,
to live up to that. But yeah,
historic year.
He's been rising through the minor leagues pretty quickly, so it's unlikely he would start the season on the roster because of options and stuff like that. He has all his options, so just keep him down. Players that don't have options or players that you can send down to AAA, because you only get so many. If you try to send them down to AAA and you run out of options, you have to release them. So he'll start the season in the minors probably, but somebody to keep an eye on. He pitched a couple innings, had 3 strikeouts, no earned, no hits on opening spring training day. So that's a name to watch out for. But yeah, that's all I got for them Bravos.
So we got like a month before the season starts.
Yeah, right at a month. I think it's March 28th.
All right, so strap in. We'll try to have, especially leading up to opening day, we'll try to have like our Braves expectations and our projections on season awards and stuff like that.
Pretty sick.
Yeah,
I like it.
All right, you want to go to United?
Well, let's do it.
United.
You don't have a United soundbite, damn.
5
Still don't.
Yeah, it's still don't.
Oh, that does sound better than United, I think.
We'll do 5 stripes.
17s.
Okay. All right.
We're working on it.
So, speaking of the 17s, we're looking to recreate the vibe from that year, 2017, 2018. New management, we've talked about a lot. Joseph Martinez is out. Garth Lagerwey is in. Gonzalo Pineda is still here. And, new look at Atlanta United. Miles Robinson, Brad Guzan, they're back in the lineup.
I was surprised they both started and played as long as they did, because like coming
Quick
back from
recovery for both, because those are bad injuries.
Those injuries, yes. And I don't think they were at 100% either.
No, but I do think that they were pretty close. Both played really well. Brad was honestly way better than I thought he was going to be. I thought Brad should have retired. He didn't, and maybe he heard me.
I'm glad he didn't. Yeah, hopefully
he played really, really well. So yeah, let's get into the game real quick. We were watching it on Apple TV. Phenomenal quality. Phenomenal. We love the quality. And it the game, as I said in the Blursed of the week, it's a bit distracting. If you just look at the scoreline, you think, hell yeah, Atlanta's you know what? Good start to the season. And it is a good start to the season to win your first game. But if you dive a little bit deeper, that first half was supremely disappointing. We surrendered the lead right as the clock hit 12 minutes. I think the net rippled at like 11:59. And so and it came off of poor defense. All right. It was stuff we talked about last year. Okay. When I was on the pod and we were on here talking about what is Gonzalo Pineda doing? Why is he running out the same stuff? Doesn't seem like we're getting better defensively. I sadly saw a lot of that in the first half. And that first goal came because of it. One of San Jose's new signings, Christian Espinoza. He's a great player, super good winger. And he got down the right side. He got past Brooks Lennon. He cut it inside and crossed one into the box to Bobasi, their longtime best player, who headed it. Nothing Guzan could do. So we're down 1-0. And I'm thinking, God,
here we go. Yeah.
More of the same. Okay. And sadly, it didn't get better in the first half. We did have a couple chances, but San Jose had a few more as well. Christian Espinoza abused Brooks Lennon down there. And so now,
didn't we miss a PK?
Yeah, right before the half, I think in the low 40s, if not high 30s of minutes. Andrew Gutman was coming down the wing. He cuts it into the box and he goes to hit a pass across in front of goal, and their right back slid and stuck his arm out, hit the ball, handball. About the clearest handball violation you're going to see. Penalty kick, our best player, not in talent, so maybe not best player, our most important player, steps up to the spot, Luis Araujo. And I'll be damned if he didn't even put it on target.
Yeah.
Not even on target.
Yeah.
Failed it to the left. That I don't think is actually that big of a concern. I think, yes.
Can I ask you a question about Araujo, though? Like, I felt like he had a disappointing game overall.
He did. He did. But I actually feel like that was one of the encouraging things from the game. I know that sounds like weird logic.
That he played poorly and we still won.
We played poorly. We still won. The other superstar stepped up in his absence, made it happen, and we won against a team we should have beat and did. And so I think it's encouraging to say that, yeah, we had defensive issues, but we also had our most important player not play anywhere near what he's capable of playing. And I don't think that that's something to be concerned about. I think that's just a slow start.
Why do you say he's our most important player?
Because of the fact that Thiago Almada is the most talented player. He's our best player. I think that he's the most talented player in all of MLS. The man just won a World Cup. Did y'all know he's the first MLS player to ever win a World Cup?
Yeah.
It's never happened before.
He didn't. I mean, he didn't start or anything, but he did play. But he did play.
Played in almost every game. He played in the World Cup final. Okay.
Yes.
You know, they're not putting you on against France in a game.
If they don't think you can, right.
Yeah. It wasn't like they beat them 4-0 and they were like, put
Almada in there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he contributed to that team. Messi said a lot of very nice, very encouraging things about the young kid. And I'll be damned if he didn't take that momentum and ride the shit out of it into this game, because he was our only bright spot in the first half. And then he's, of course, we know what happened at the end of the game. And we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so we go to the second half. And here's where I do want to give Gonzalo Pineda some credit. Y'all remember last year we came on this pod time after time, and I blew a gasket over Gonzalo Pineda not making halftime adjustments when the other coach did, right?
Yeah.
We sat down and talked about that so many times. Well, here's where I can say he made halftime adjustment. And I'm not going to say it was super strategic, but something he said to him, something he changed, maybe in the little intricacies of the game that we can't notice super well unless you know what you're looking for from a game plan standpoint, because we dominated the second half. After getting outplayed by an inferior squad in the first half, we came out and we dominated. And so much so that if you go and look at the stats for the game, it looks like we dominated the whole time.
It does.
We finished with 61% possession, 20 total shots to their 10. We had 8 corner kicks to their 3. We had, get this, 16 shots outside the box to their 2. So,
which also a little concerning, though, that 16 of our 20 came from outside of the box.
Slightly. I do see
just a little.
Let it rip, man.
Yeah,
that's my FIFA strategy.
I want to see the attempts. We have the players to let
they can make those. Yeah, right.
Yeah, San Jose only took 2 because they don't have that on their roster. They don't have outside the box scoring on their roster, so that's smart of them. Also, we were extremely accurate in our passes, and we passed the ball a lot. 514 passes that game to 341 for San Jose, and we had it at an 86% completion rate. Of those 514, we completed 441. That is very good.
That's super good.
That is really, really good. That's like, if we keep that up throughout the year, top 3 in the MLS good. So very encouraging stuff from the second half from the team themselves and also Gonzalo Pineda. And yeah, then the thing happened. Then the magic happened. As the second half's progressing, I'm thinking, damn, we look good. We're controlling the fucking game. But this is going to be one of those cruel soccer moments where we outplayed the opponent and we just couldn't get one to go in. And then, because of some fouls and some injuries, when the board hit 90 minutes, the referee held up 7 minutes of added time. That's a lot. And so we start playing through the added time. 93rd minute, I think it was, Blake.
Yep.
Corner kick goes straight to Almada. He gets it outside the box. One of those 16 outside the box shots hits the underside of the crossbar, bangs it in. A ton of power, a ton of finesse, and it's beautiful. So I'm losing my shit over what I think is just going to be a draw.
A draw that everyone's gonna be happy with.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah,
oh shit, we were thinking we were about to lose to this team, and we salvaged a win, or we salvaged a draw. It felt like a win, but then we actually got to feel an actual win when. How many minutes of added time did I say? 7.
You said 7
in the 90, and it was 7 minutes is all they gave us. But, and I think I know what you're looking at there, Blake. But what? the 90, literally the clock turned to 97, right as Derek Etienne, one of our new signings, from Columbus, he gets fouled just outside the 18-yard box. Guess who steps up in front of the ball? No question about it. The young kid, Thiago Almada again. And I'll be damned. And also credit San Jose. They defended this perfectly. You can say in a lot of sports that perfect offense beats perfect defense. And this was an example of that. They set their wall up exactly where Thiago Almada shot the ball. The keeper was covering everything else. The wall was set up perfectly. And he just made, if you go and look at the back angle, the opposite end zone angle, the curl on that ball to get around the, like I said, perfectly placed wall to where he put it just over the height of where they all jumped, and then cutting it back down and it dipping, back underneath the crossbar in the upper 90 to give us the win. I mean, it was beautiful. No keeper in the world saves that shot. I feel bad for San Jose's keeper because he's far from the best in the world, but he at least got a hand on the ball. Granted, he didn't touch the ball till it was about a foot inside the goal. Yeah. So it's not like had he been stronger, he would have, it was going to be a goal no matter what.
Thiago Almada scored the goal of the year in the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Like it literally
I think it's a good way to
considered
put that.
a goal of the year. Like, and
it's already a candidate for it for sure. Two of them.
Right.
Two
right.
Goals of the year.
Within like 6 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
Less time than that, 4 minutes of each other.
Now if you go, and I thought this was maybe what you were looking at a second ago, Blake, but it was 7 minutes of added time. He hit it at the 97-minute mark to win the game. But if you go look at the box score, it said that the final whistle blew at 99 minutes. Yeah. That's because the place went so goddamn wild that they had about 2 minutes worth of a celebration. And of course, as Hayden said earlier in the pod, the clock just keeps running. But once everybody actually got back together, as soon as San Jose kicked off the ball, beep, I don't even think it made it to the actual player that it got kicked off to. So it was the end of the game. It just, we had 2 minutes of a celebration afterward. It got put on the clock.
I proposed this question in Discord right after the game. I said, do you think we lose Almada to EPL next year? I immediately after the game, I was like, he's just going to get poached by some huge team. It might not be EPL. It could be like PSG
that's fine.
Or Barcelona.
That's what we need. Don't be sad when Thiago Almada leaves, because Atlanta, that was how our success.
Almiron.
When we came in and took this league by storm, we did it differently than everybody else did. We used this league and our club as a jumping spot to a better league in Europe.
They come play for us because you can go to Europe after us.
Because you can go to Europe instead of the old ways of, oh, hey, old person, come retire here in the United States and play a little soccer. Right. That was the old mold. It's unexciting. It doesn't work. And Atlanta changed the game, and we're getting back to that. Because if Thiago Almada can have a Miguel Almiron type season, you sell him to a big club in Europe, and guess what you do? You take that money and you go buy the next Thiago Almada, which is what we did. Yeah. And we have him now.
Get 2 of them.
Yeah, get 2 of them. So and so anyway, I am excited about the game. I know in the Blursed of the week I said there were some holes that the exciting win covered up. And I agree. However, I want to give Pineda and the whole squad credit for changing something at halftime. Maybe it was just their for just firing them up. Mm-hmm. Because technically the formation didn't change from what I could see. So great win, great start of the season. We play Toronto, another not good team, this Saturday. Again here in Atlanta, 2 home games to start the year. If we can get 6 points out of that, that's the start.
I have a couple more questions. Is Juan Parada not going to start?
Well, he started Saturday, and
did he?
Yeah, he did. Now, you remember how in the preseason preview we did, I talked about how I thought Gonzalo Pineda, because we signed a DP that's a center back who he was not available Saturday. Same with Yorgos. Neither Yorgos. So
And Yorgos, let's be honest, without two, Yorgos is a big player we're missing right there. I mean, that's
we had to start Jackson Conway. We don't really have a backup striker because we signed. I don't think we talked about this, but Atlanta United signed a backup striker, we only signed him like a week ago. So both our starting striker and our backup striker are not American citizens right now. Okay,
they don't have their green card.
Not citizens. You know what I mean?
Their visa, their work visas.
Their work.
They don't have the work visas.
They don't have work visas. So hopefully that's going to get approved soon from Yorgos. I don't know about his backup status on his card, but it should be later on. So we had to start a youth player, Jackson Conway. He's an Atlanta United 2 player. He played for us a lot last year when we were shit, and they just wanted to give the young guys time. Jackson Conway did okay, but he is not an MLS quality striker. And so for us to go out there and do that, I felt like was really cool, honestly, to get that production from your star when you didn't have your striker out there.
And I think that's the thing I'm most excited about is I think there's a promise, like you said, I'm not expecting us to win the championship or anything like that, but there's promising future for us in the fact that we're missing our striker.
And so to close that out, because you asked about Juanjo.
Yes.
Juanjo started next to Miles. He was a bit at fault on that goal.
That's why they subbed him out.
Yeah, they subbed him out. Luis Abram. So that's why I thought once we purchased Luis Abram, who again is also not here yet. I thought because how good Juanjo is, that I believe he is. I know he made a mistake, but I thought that meant okay, we're going to do a back five, and we're going to have the wings kind of play up either a back five or a back three,
right?
And have 3 center backs. But he started a back 4. And so that tells me that maybe Juanjo and Luis Abram are going to have to compete for who gets to stand beside Miles Robinson.
I like it.
Fine. That's fine. I want more competition.
And it gives us more depth, and it makes it where if one player's fitness is not up to where it needs to be, you just sub it.
Because in soccer, we have another competition to worry about. We have the U.S. Open Cup that's going to start. It's not like being the backup center back means you're never going to play. You're still going to play a lot.
You might play every game still.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I think so we can wrap up Atlanta United there. I think it was a really promising start to the year, albeit a heart attack inducing one, but still fun, really exciting. I think this team's going to be good.
Hey, and buy tickets because they're actually not that bad a price right now. Like you can sit in the 100 section for like $45. So literally,
everybody at home, think to yourself, you know how much fun you don't have at Falcons games? You have a ton of fun in the same building for Atlanta United.
The drinks and the food are still cheap. So go enjoy the amenities.
So I guess we need to cover a little bit of.
We should talk UGA basketball.
Hey. How about them dogs?
I set that up perfectly. Hayden 100% read those waves, and you fucked it up, Blake.
I didn't realize it was coming. I didn't realize. I didn't see it coming. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. All right. So how about them dogs indeed? UGA basketball, we're struggling down the stretch. We almost predicted it. Blake, you and I said that we
said what needed to happen, yeah.
And then we said that we would lose to Alabama and Arkansas, which we have, and we said that we would beat everybody else, which we haven't. So big win against Kentucky. We also won against LSU. But then we really struggled against Missouri. The Missouri game was the worst of the year because while Missouri's good, they're not Alabama and Arkansas good, and they beat us bad.
I mean, our defense the last 3 weeks have been atrocious. You've given up,
which is crazy because that's what we were known for throughout the first 2/3 of the season.
Yeah,
we were the number 1 ranked defense in the SEC for a large portion of the year.
Yeah, well, and then you give 85 to Missouri, 97 to Arkansas, and 108 to Alabama. That's an NBA score, 108 points. And we only scored 59. They doubled our score almost. Yeah.
They beat us by 49 points.
Well, let's say this, though. Mike White, I think he's still doing a great job as first-year coach. We will finish above 500 this year, which is a huge step up from last year, and I think the future's still bright with the Georgia.
It's still a very successful season. Maybe we can even make a run a little bit in the SEC tourney.
Yeah, you never know.
Because they're taking these lumps. They're figuring out what it's like to play on the road in the SEC, and which, as we've talked about, very hard to win there. And
always.
But so anyway, I think it's a great learning experience. I hope this core group of guys stays, and we're going to get a good recruiting class in. It's maybe a bit of Arthur Smithing happening here, which is that we overperform beyond expectations. So in the season, our expectations rose.
Started to road, yeah.
Only for teams like Alabama and people to be like, no.
You're still not there yet.
It's nice to see like a glimmer of hope. Or
It is.
A glimpse
Yeah.
of what we're capable of. Though we're not able to sustain it for long periods of time right now, that's what comes next.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Exactly.
Build on it.
I put on the agenda for us to talk about UGA football. We'll push that to next week. Combine starts this week anyways.
I do want to say one little factoid that does quick factoid that does relate to that though. If Jalen Carter goes number 1 overall, the University of Georgia will be the clear-cut number 1 team in the entirety of college football history at producing number 1 overall picks. If Jalen Carter gets picked, no one will have more number 1 overall picks than UGA.
That's really cool. And there's a chance of that, and we'll dive into that next week. But I did want to have one fun topic before we end it. And this could be your water fountain topic this week.
What's the rest of this bit? This hadn't been fun for you?
No, it hasn't. But this is the last one fun nugget, and this could
office
be
talk.
Office talk. Yeah, this could be your office talk. So, guys, how do you feel about a potential Matt Ryan return to the Falcons?
Oh, that.
It's been
I'll
brought
say
up
that I said this. I was
going to say
we
talked about.
No, I know you did, but now it's actually been talked about, and I don't know how true any of it is, but it's being thrown around a little bit in the national media about what he's either going to retire and go into media, or they could see him return to the Falcons. What say you?
He first off, he would be great in media. He showed that in his, I think he did a couple games last year, not calling the games, but the pregame stuff on Fox. And Matt's just a cool dude. He's a great personality. But like we talked about back then when we brought this up, I would love to see him as a backup. But then also, I said it back then, I'll say it now. Why don't you just give him a little visor, give him a clipboard,
quarterback
call
coach,
some plays.
Yeah.
No, let Art just be the head coach. Scoop Matt in as the OC. No, I'm just kidding. He shouldn't take that leap first. But still, yeah, maybe make him the QB coach.
Yeah,
I mean, I would love to see him as a coach on the team because he's going to be a coach.
Yeah, so he was in Atlanta. What really sparked this conversation was he was in Atlanta and he was there for the game winner yesterday, Trae Young. Yeah. Ice in the building, cool. So you had to know Trae Young was going to be ice cold.
Oh, absolutely.
Ice was in the building. You got to put on your ice cold performance. And so I don't know. I would love to bring him in as if he's down, he would be a great backup to Desmond Ridder.
100%.
He would be the best backup to Desmond Ridder.
Hayden said it back then too. I believe Hayden brought up the point that he showed 100% maturity and willingness and professionalism to tutor and mentor Sam Ehlinger.
When he didn't even deserve
a quarterback
to start over
who had no help.
I was about to say
he has no chance at becoming anything in the NFL.
A complete lost cause, and Matt was still like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Yeah. So give him a quarterback that's not a lost cause, and that'd be great.
And for all you were like, "Oh no, we don't want Matt because the money." Like, no, it'd be for much cheaper. It'd be like,
Matt's not going to want $49 million.
Yeah, no,
to be the backup.
This would be great for us. So I don't think I don't know if it'll happen. I doubt it. But if there's a chance, I'm all for the reunion.
Me too. I would. I just wanted to see him retire as a Falcon, just for me, just personally.
Yeah. Oh, personally,
I love him.
I think he might be the player who would say he doesn't want to go anywhere else. I think he might sign with us just to retire.
Yeah. Oh, I think so too. Because I mean, first of all, maybe this is a debate for next week, but he's the greatest Falcon in Atlanta football history.
We could debate it, but I'm going to agree with you. He's the best Falcon in the history.
In franchise history.
Franchise history, yes.
Mr. Brian Finneran has something to say about that.
Hell yeah.
You know what other Matt might have to say that? Matt Bryant.
Ooh,
another great Matt.
The other Matty Ice.
Yeah, the other Matty Ice. So.
Yeah. All right. That was Blursed.
That was Blursed.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back again next week. We'll be delayed one day, I believe. Or maybe later.
Next Tuesday.
Who knows?
Or recording next Tuesday? Yeah.
Next Tuesday.
So we'll see y'all on
come
Wednesday.
Out on Wednesday. So, and as always, special shout out to Ono for our music. He's dope. So
apparently he's cooking up some new stuff, so maybe we'll have some new music a little bit. He said he's
sick.
He said he's been
boy's
stuck.
always in the kitchen.
He is.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Let him cook. It'll be here on Blursed. All right. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Aaron said bye.